I think NC Central, their kids are in a tough situation right now. I know that just talking to Lavelle, they haven't been able to practice. They got a bunch of guys beat up and dinged up, and it's been hard for them to complete a full practice. But I thought their kids gave really, really good effort. I thought our guys were really good defensively in the first half, not as good in the second half. I thought we played the score a little bit, which you feel as a coach that you want to be able to play 40 minutes the exact same way, but human nature kicks in at times. We got to be better, finishing the game. With 8 minutes left, I think we'd given up 8 offensive rebounds, and to go the last couple of wars with continuous fouling and giving them second and third shots. A little disappointing, but I'm not going to let the last 7-8 minutes of the game sort of taint what I thought was a really good first 30 minutes. So we have a quick turnaround. I'm not used to playing all these Sunday games, and so we'll be back at it tomorrow, getting ready for USC Upstate on Wednesday.
Coach, it seems like in the beginning of the game they gave you a little bit of trouble defensively, on the offensive end. Did they do anything differently on defense to confuse you guys at all? Or
when they were on defense?
When they were on defense.
Well, we end up going 65% from the field in the first half. There's usually a feeling out process. I thought Lavelle does a really good job. I've known him for a long, long time. It's the reason his teams go to the NCAA tournament. You can tell with the style of play where they walk the ball up, they're running their set plays with 18 seconds on the clock. So he wants to put you in that eerie feeling of, hey, we're 7-8 minutes in the game and the score is 12-4 or whatever the case is. But I thought our guys did a really good job of being patient, taking what was there. And Steven obviously had a really good first half. We were trying to go to him, and again, I thought our defensive effort was really good in the first half.
Offensively, you mentioned 66%. It was up to 70 in the beginning of the second half. Was that just a product of you guys being efficient on offense?
Well, I think in the first half it was a product that we were throwing the ball to Steven. He was getting some work done. He's a load for a team that's not a high major team. They just don't have the size necessarily to combat it. And they were doing a good job of really pressing into Jordan. But I was really encouraged with, even though it sort of became a little bit like a tennis match, where longer possessions for them, we didn't let that affect our defensive intensity, especially in the last 12 minutes or so of the first half.
Graves and Miller didn't quite have the day from deep that they've been having. Were you happy with the way the perimeter defense worked for you all? Or?
Well, the only guy that really hurt us was the kid that's only played the last 2 games, Wiley, the pick and pop 5-man. And, we're learning. When Steve jumps or hedges out on a ball screen, there's got to be responsibility for some other players on the floor to maybe rotate out and cover him. You can't ask him to get the ball handler going towards half court and at the same time guard his man when they throw it back. So could we have made a little bit of an adjustment? Yes. But I think the recognition that we should have had, especially with the upperclassmen, of seeing the pick and pop develop, it's got to get better. But, Miller, he's the guy. Graves is the guy. Those guys were shooting almost 70% from the three-point line coming in. So we wanted to make their looks really, really difficult. For the most part, I thought we did that.
Wondered what you thought about the interior defense and also the way the 8 played.
Well, I thought our interior defense in the first 30 minutes was pretty good. They're not a team that necessarily goes inside, but I thought both Steven and Aiden were doing a fairly decent job of keeping the ball in the lane. Sort of tainted because the last 7 minutes we just fouled. We fouled every possession. That's why people were getting tired of watching the game in the Yum Center, and there were hardly anybody in the stands at the end because it was a whistle every time down the floor. That's no disrespect to the officials. That's all our fault. We've got to do a better job of defending without fouling. And so a little bit of that was not blocking out, and we got to get better at that and finish up the game the right way.
Another good game for Fresh Kimball. Is this who you thought you were getting when you recruited him?
Yeah, I think, as I said it the other night, Nick, he's going to keep getting better. The more he is on the Yum Center floor, the more he's playing with his teammates, I just think he's growing with his confidence. He understands what his head coach wants on the offensive end. He's no pushover on the defensive end. He does a great job of keeping the ball in front. He's got a great voice. So I'm really excited about what I've seen out of the last couple games. It's more what we expected.
Darius also had a really good game tonight as far as the stats go. Those two guys seem to be playing well as of late. What can they do better right now? What do you think they need to improve at?
I think Darius' stat line's a little bit fool's gold. I think he shot well. I think that he delivered a couple passes to some guys that made shots. But I think he needs to be much better on the defensive end. I watched film with him the last couple days in leading up to this game. That he just has to do some routine things better. And on the defensive end, he's blessed with strength, toughness, length, athleticism. But he's got to be able to jump to the ball. He's got to be able to block out when a big guy rotates out of position. He's got to get a little tougher on ball screen defense. It's not just the big's fault, but maybe they get split on a ball screen. And so, I expect a lot of Darius, especially on the defensive end, because he should be our spirit. He should be the guy that really sets the tone. I've got to unleash him a little bit more to play more three-quarter court when teams are walking the ball up. We're going to start doing that. But he's got to be better defensively.
Steven had a couple great passes in the game. He grabbed that loose ball in the first half. He kind of was bringing it up the court, too. I mean, could you use him as a point guard on the bench?
Absolutely not. My view was obstructed when that happened. And so I turned to Coach Gaudio and Cahill and I said, did he make that pass on purpose or did he drop it and just happen to go to his teammate? They go, I think he made it on purpose. So unless I'm taking your word for it, I'm gonna have to watch it on DVR tonight at the house to give him the credit that he deserves for making the right play on 2-on-1. We've worked a lot on 2-on-1s, a lot, because again, we're not going to take anything for granted. We have to be able to finish at the rim. If we do a great job and turn you over or get a long rebound and have that opportunity where it's a 3-on-2 or 2-on-1, high-level teams make you pay. So it was good to see Steve make a really good decision in that moment.
You've been shooting over 50% every game. Obviously,
I've been working on my stroke. That's
well, the team's been shooting, but unlike Jeff Walls, I guess you don't really get much of a chance to shoot from the baseline or sideline.
My career's over.
But as the schedule gets tougher in the next month, what are you going to be looking for from your kids to obviously you can't keep shooting 50% every night, but to kind of keep that performance, keep that edge going?
I mean, it's just basketball practice. I mean, that's what we do as coaches. We go to the practice gym and we figure out where we maybe fell short. I think that our younger guys have to get a little bit tougher. On the defensive end, there were a lot of 50-50 balls. I think they have to get a little bit more discipline. We're reaching in, we're going for shot fakes, we're fouling jump shooters. And I'm specifically talking about the young guys. And our older guys aren't perfect, but I think our younger guys are going to be put in situations where, they're coming off the bench and, maybe we're in a high level game and we're up 4 and they have to go back to the bench up 8 and not, down 2 because of these, magnified errors. And so I'm hoping that experiences where I give them a little bit, longer leash and a little bit more playing time, situations like tonight, will aid that development. They've got a ways to go. They're making improvements in some areas, but there are some other areas that, again, I don't care what year you are. If there's a 50-50 ball, Louisville needs to come up with it somehow, some way, and we're not quite there yet.
Dwayne Sutton he came out today and just made some great plays when you needed him. Can you talk a little about what he means to his team in the senior leadership?
I feel like I'm a broken record. I feel like I'm saying the same thing every time we play a game. Dwayne's a winner. I don't expect anything less. So I do need Dwayne to have a louder voice. And I think for all the great qualities he brings to the table, he's too quiet. And if it means as much as his play indicates, then he needs to be a little bit more vocal and a lot less, I'll just sort of set the example. Like, you're supposed to set the example. I also need you talking on the defensive end. I also need you, exhorting those guys in huddles I need more out of Dwayne when it comes to that type of leadership, and not just to look at me, do as me leadership.
Malik and David both warmed up tonight. Keep asking, but are they making any progress?
Yeah, I could have put them in the game tonight.
Thank you.
But, just because the doctor clears you, they haven't had their basketball legs under them in so long, especially David, that I'm not going to put those guys out there in a 25 or 30 point game, and just yet. So, but I could have put them in there if I wanted.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep, thank you guys.